Hello, everybody, and welcome to my latest podcast, where today I talk about the latest film from Matthew Vaughn, Argylle, released in 2024 and directed by, Matthew Vaughn. So Matthew Vaughn is a director who I've followed his work for a few years now. He's made some very interesting movies, not to everybody's tastes, but I really enjoyed Kingsman movies. Well, the first two. I really didn't like The King's Man, which was the prequel that was made recently. That was a real mess of a film. I really like Stardust, really like Kick-Ass, Layer Cake. He's a guy who's done quite a bit. And also he did one of the X-Men movies. He did X-Men First Class. So as for Argylle, I didn't really see the trailers for this movie. I saw brief glimpses of what it was, but I had no idea exactly what it was going to be like or how it was going to play out. So seeing the movie was quite a surprise to me. A reclusive author who writes espionage novels about a secret agent and a global spy syndicate realizes the plot of the new book she's writing starts to mirror real-world events in real time. So, what do I think of this movie? So it's kind of hard to talk about this film without spoiling it. I will make sure there's no spoilers, but I will simply say that I was very much blown away by this movie. I really, really enjoyed it, and I was very surprised how much I enjoyed it. I think the secret to this movie's success is the script. The script was phenomenal. I have to be honest and say I did not expect the movie to go in the directions that it went. The twists and turns were fabulous, to the point where I actually went back for a second viewing and I brought a friend with me who hadn't seen it, and he too was blown away. He was, like me, really surprised at the directions that it went in. And it's a ton of fun as well. It definitely has the same sort of style as the Kingsman movies. It's not quite as leery as the Kingsman movies. It's quite well balanced in terms of the tone of the sort of fun action side of the sort of espionage, like the kind of riffing on James Bond sort of thing that Kingsman had. But it doesn't have the same sort of outrageous comedy that Kingsman has. The actors are phenomenal here. I have to say the standouts being Bryce Dallas Howard, who plays Ellie Conway, who's the author, whose novels mirror the real world, and her and Sam Rockwell, who plays Aidan Wilde, who is an actual agent who's sent to find her. They have quite a good rapport, and they are the stars of this movie. They really go on quite a journey together, and their chemistry is fabulous, I have to say. And the action sequences are great. You know, again, a bit like Kingsman, you know, the same kind of style. So you can clearly see the influence here. But I think Matthew Vaughn did a really good job with this one. He definitely made sure the script was a lot better than his last movie, which was The King's Man, which was a real mess. As for the rest of the cast, Bryan Cranston plays Director Ritter, and Catherine O'Hara, who you may know from the Home Alone movies, is Vogel. They are two, villains of the story, shall we say. And there's quite a few twists surrounding them. You'll be surprised to know that Henry Cavil and John Cena are actually minor roles in this movie. They're in it, but the way in which they're in it I can't talk about because spoilers. Richard E. Grant also makes an appearance as Director Fowler very briefly. Ariana DeBose, who was in West Side Story, plays Kira. So overall, yeah, like the cast is great, and there's no bad performance in there. They all do a fabulous job. One of my favourite moments of the film is in the third act when Aidan and Ellie do this dance sequence, which is also a fight sequence. It's a choreographed sequence which involves dancing and fighting and shooting, and there's loads of colourful smoke, and it all looks very cheesy and kind of fabulous. I think it's quite funny, and it really works with the film. And they're doing that to Leona Lewis's what do you call it? Light Up, As If You Have a Choice. That song, I forget the name of it, but that one. I think the film is quite long. Perhaps the first act does take its time a little bit, and the movie does throw a lot of twists at you all at once. So I would understand if people would struggle to follow this because there's a lot going on, and it is quite hard to keep up with at times. But I actually kept up with it quite well. But I could see why people would think this movie is a bit all over the place, but it's actually not. When you really break it down, the way they drip feed you information is very well done, very well executed, and I think that it really works. If you buy into the characters and if you buy into the world and the story, it really does work. And I think as the movie goes on, it gets better. When we get halfway through into the film, when they drop the big reveal, you're like, oh, now it's starting to make sense. Because my best friend who was sat next to me for this movie, For the first half, he was so confused. He was like, "What the hell is going on?" I've no clue that the movie was just throwing loads of twists, and it wasn't really making sense. And then the big twist comes, and he was like, "Oh my god, wow, that's great!" And honestly, this movie was fantastic. It was just so clever and original. I didn't expect it to go in the way it did, and the action scenes are also great. Not gonna name every single one, but they were bloody great. And I think that's the whole concept of this movie. I can't talk about it because of spoilers, but the concept of where they went with this was really, really cool. It's more than just the writer's works literally coming to life. It's more than that. I can promise you. But you have to see it. If you love the Kingsman movies, you will probably like this film. It's in a similar kind of style, but it's actually very different. In some respects, it's actually better than the Kingsman movies. I think the writing is top notch. And I actually think there are parts of this film which are very moving. I was genuinely surprised that I was nearly getting emotional towards the end. There's one particular fight sequence which happens towards the end where a certain character is hypnotized into fighting another character. And I won't say any more than that, but I will say that part nearly had me on the edge of my seat because I actually bought the chemistry with these characters, and it was kind of hard to see one trying to hurt the other, even against their will. And also there is a cat in the movie. There's a cat character called Alfie, who is great fun and really has become his own character. And then there's also a appearance from Samuel L. Jackson as well as another character. So he gets to feature in this, which is also very nice. I think this film is a ton of fun, brilliantly written, and with fantastic performances. This movie is just great fun. And it goes back to what I love about Matthew Vaughn as a director, is that he knows how to bring the fun to any kind of project. Like all of his other films, I think, are great fun as well, aside from his, Kingsman prequel. So Matthew Vaughn has undoubtedly redeemed himself, and I couldn't be happier with the result of this film. Like I said, if there's any detriment to the film, if there's any flaws, perhaps it's a little baggy at the start, maybe it's a little too long. That might be my only complaint, but I honestly love the way this film turned out, and I love the way it was edited, and it just flows. It just flows beautifully, and it really is fun to watch, and the characters are genuinely great. Maybe I will do a spoiler talk at some point because there's just a lot to say, and I'd have to go into spoilers to do that. So maybe I will do that if anyone's curious. But as a final rating for Argylle, honestly, I'm stoked to say that I've got to give Argylle a 10 out of 10. Yeah, I was really, really blown away and genuinely really psyched about it. And I think this is Matthew Vaughn's best movie in a long time. For me, it's one of his best. I really loved it. So what do you think of Argylle? Please comment down below, let me know. Stay tuned for more videos and podcasts to come in the future. And until next time, see ya.